So there's a lot of misconceptions in the fitness industry that's going to stop you guys from achieving results, and in this video I'm going to debunk all of those myths. So the first myth is that you need cardio in order to lose fat. So the truth is, the only thing that you guys need in order to lose fat is just a calorie deficit. Like I've said this before, the way to be in a calorie deficit is first you got to find out your calorie maintenance. So in order to do this, you go on a TDE calculator, you enter in all your details, your height, weight, age, your activity levels, and then it will give you your caloric maintenance, and then from there you subtract 200 to 300, and that's how you find out your calories in order to be in a calorie deficit. Most people think that the easiest way to get to a calorie deficit is by doing more cardio, more exercise, but here's the truth. Did you know that exercise only counts 5% of calories burnt? Let me give you guys an explanation. So first of all, you got your BMR, which stands for your basal metabolic rate. This is how many calories you guys burn just by existing. So your BMR counts for 60% of your total calories burnt. And then after your BMR, you guys have your NEAT, which stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This burns about 15% of your total calories. So basically your NEAT is anytime you're doing any sort of activity which is not exercise. For example, you're cooking, you're cleaning, you're gardening. Yeah, that is your NEAT. So that is any sort of activity which is not exercise, and that burns about, as I said, like 15% of your calories. And then you got your thermic effect of food, which burns about 10% of your calories. So thermic effect of food relates to like, so basically anytime you guys digest food, you guys are burning calories just simultaneously just by digesting that food. That burns about like 10% of your calories. So that's why I say like tell you guys like, you know, eat more protein, because protein has the highest thermic effect of food. The more calories you guys eat from protein, the more calories your body is just gonna burn simultaneously, and the easier it is for you guys to get leaner. Lastly, you got your exercise such as your cardio and your weightlifting and your sports. That only burns about 5% of our calories. So as you guys can see, like exercise does not burn as much calories as you guys think it does. So technically you don't need as much cardio to lose fat. The thing is, if you guys just want to lose fat, cardio isn't that necessary. The only thing you guys should be focused on is in a calorie deficit. However, if you guys really want to get to like that shredded level, like, you know, that next level of leanness, like, you know, bodybuilder, if you're competing for a bodybuilding competition and you want to get like 10% to like a below 10% body fat, then yes, using cardio as a tool can be beneficial in order to progress your fat loss even further. Point is that you guys don't need as much cardio as you guys think in order to lose fat. So the thing is, if you guys lift weights, that could actually be more beneficial for your fat loss progress instead of cardio. Because let me tell you guys this, so as I previously just said, your BMR is what burns the majority of your calories, right? Like your BMR is what's going to determine the majority of your fat loss. So in order to increase your BMR, what you guys want to do is focus more on strength training and building more muscle, because the more muscle you have on your body, the more calories your body's just going to burn just by existing, because the more muscle you have, the more BMR you have, and the higher your BMR is, basal metabolic rate, the more calories you're gonna burn just by existing. So what I recommend you guys to do, focus more on building muscle when you're in a fat loss phase rather than cardio. Alright, so the second misconception or myth in the fitness industry is the anabolic window. So we've all heard of this misconception, like, or if you don't take protein straight after your workout, if you don't have a protein shake straight after your workout, you're gonna lose all your gains, and that can be far from the truth. Like I used to be one of these people as well, where, you know, straight after a workout I'd instantly, like, you know, if I thought like I didn't get in my protein hit, I would automatically lose gains, but that's simply not the truth. Because there's been a 2023 study which showed that protein synthesis is elevated from 48 hours to 72 hours post-workout. So it doesn't really matter what time you guys take in your protein. What really matters is, you know, you guys take it one way or another. You don't have to take it straight after you work out. Like if you guys aren't able to take it straight after you work out, it's not that big of a deal. Just make sure you hit it one way or another. Alright, so I just want to add on to this and tell you guys another misconception that's been in the fitness industry for a long time in regards to protein, and it's that you can only consume 30 grams of protein per meal. So basically, if you're taking 45 grams of protein a meal, 15 grams of that protein is going to be wasted. That's just far from the truth. There's been recent studies to show that, or even if you're taking 100 grams of protein per protein a meal, like your protein your protein synthesis levels are still going to be elevated, but it's just going to take longer time for you guys to digest it. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to gain muscle and majority of that protein is going to go to waste. It's still going to be used in order to build muscle, but it's just going to take longer to digest. So yeah, if you guys are confused on whether or not you can take more than 30 grams of protein per meal, go for it. Like for me, for example, I try to have at least 50 grams of protein per meal, and it's worked out well for me. So yeah, so don't believe that myth that you can only consume 30 grams of protein per meal. So the third myth in the fitness industry is that you can spot reduced body fat. The thing is, you see people doing all these crunches as well as these ab twists, thinking they can burn off belly fat in their love handles just by doing ab exercises and stuff like that. But the truth is, you can't spot reduced body fat. Like you can't tell your body, I want to lose fat from my love handles, or I want to lose fat from my face, or I want to lose fat from my lower belly. You can't tell your body to do that, because your body, it literally chooses where to lose body fat from. So the only ways you guys can actually lose body fat is if you guys are in a calorie deficit, and basically, but it also depends on your genetics as well. Like your genetics determine where you store body fat and where you can lose body fat from. So say for example, some people, they store most of their fat on their face. Some people, they store most of their fat on their stomach. Like so for example, like for some people, it's easier for them to get a jawline. Vice versa, for other people, it's easier for them to get that full shredded six pack. Because it all just depends on To be honest, it does depend on your genetics and where you store most of your body fat. But at the same time, if you're in a calorie deficit for long enough, you can still get off those. You can still get off that those love handles, those that double chin. What you guys gotta do is just be consistent for a long period of time, and then later on the fat will come off. Like for example, for us men, we store most of our fat in our lower belly. So basically, when you're first starting off your fat loss phase, you might see some of the fat come off your face, your arms, your legs, but you still got that little piece of belly fat there. I know what you guys are talking about. I know how it feels like when I first started off. I saw fat coming off my face, my arms, my chest, but when it came to losing that last bit of fat on my gut, is really hard. So all I had to do was just being more consistent, or I just had to be in a calorie deficit consistently over a long period of time, and eventually I did see that fat coming off. Alright, so the fourth myth and the fourth misconception in the fitness industry is that you need to work out every single day to see results. Now the truth is, when you're working out in the gym, that's not when you're actually growing muscle. You're only growing muscle. Basically, when you're working out in the gym, that's only when your muscles are being teared and broken down. And then that's not when you're actually growing. When you're actually growing is when you're sleeping, when you're recovering. So if you guys take rest days and you don't work out every single day, there's so many benefits to taking rest days. First of all, you're gonna be more energized in the gym, because if you guys work out every single day, you're gonna be sore every single workout, and you're not gonna be able to perform in the gym. And second of all, you might actually build more muscle if you take more rest days, because the truth is, as I said, your muscles, they don't grow when you're training, they grow when you're at rest. So the more rest you take, the more muscle you will build. But it does get to a point where it becomes too much. Don't take 6 days rest. The sweet spot is 2 to 4 days rest. So train within 3 to 6 days, and that should be enough training for you guys to build muscle. Thing is, if you guys train every single day, you're also hindering your recovery process. Like as I said, you're gonna be sore every single workout. You're not gonna be able to perform as much in the gym, and that will actually lead to you guys making less progress. So the thing is, what I recommend you guys to do, instead of focusing so much on volume, focus more on intensity, because it's not always about how much you train, it's about how hard you train as well. So what I recommend you guys to do is to train less. So train 3 to 4 days a week, but make sure that those sessions you go hard, you go absolutely hard in those sessions, so you're actually getting the most out of your workout. Because the truth is, if you guys want more intensity, you guys gotta lower the volume, and vice versa. If you guys wanna increase the volume, you gotta lower the intensity. So it's way better to train 3 to 4 days going hard in the gym than to train 6 to 7 days a week without that much intensity, because you're not gonna make any progress if you guys don't train with intensity and just train by volume. It's always quality, in my opinion. It's always quality over quantity. It's about how hard you train, not about how much you train. Alright, so the last misconception that a lot of people have, man, this one pisses me off the most. It's I'm gonna get too big if I train too much. I've literally been trying to get too big for the past 3 years, and let me tell you, that's not gonna happen unless you're some genetic freak, or you're on gear. You're not gonna get too big, especially a lot of women say this, I don't want to get too big because I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to get too big. Literally, without mindset, you're not gonna get big anyway. So the thing is, as a natural lifter, it's pretty hard to gain muscle. The thing is, you're gonna gain the majority of your muscle mass within your first 3 to 4 months of lifting, and then after that it's just gonna slow down, it's gonna deteriorate. So every single coming year that you're lifting, you're gonna build less and less muscle. But obviously over time, you're still gonna build a good physique, because of all those, if you add up years of lifting, if you add up all those muscles gained, obviously you're gonna have a lot of muscle. But you're not just gonna get too big like that, because the thing is, we have this thing in our body called myostatin. So myostatin, basically, myostatin is actually what stops us from building muscle. So another thing is, a lot of these transformations that you see online, for example, it could be these Hollywood transformations. For example, Michael B. Jordan gaining 50 pounds of muscle in 1 year, or it could be Sam Sulek, getting jacked really, really quickly. The only reason is because they're on gear. Do you realize that? Okay, so someone on steroids will actually gain more muscle than someone who's natural, even if they don't train. That should just blow your mind. Imagine how much muscle you could gain if you're on steroids, because that should blow your mind. Imagine gaining muscle without having to train. I mean, that's everyone's dream, but that can't be done unless you're on steroids. But the thing is, there's so many other downsides of steroids. For example, your testosterone levels will decrease, your balls will literally shrink. What else? You're gonna get a lot of acne. You're gonna age a lot quicker. You're gonna age a lot quicker than you are. You're gonna look 10 years older than you actually are. So yeah, do not take any steroids, but just stay natural. That's what I'm trying to get you guys here. But the thing is, all these people that says, lifting weights is gonna make me too big, trust me, you'll never ever get too big, because there's so many other factors than just lifting weights. For example, how much you eat, how much you sleep, your genetics play a big role. All of these guys that you see that are massive, but they're natural as well, is typically because of genetics. But most people, us, we don't have that. I assume not many people who are watching this video have insane genetics to gain a lot of muscle really quickly. So yeah, just don't have this thing in your mind where if you lift weights you're gonna get too big, because trust me, getting too big as a natural is really, really hard. So those were the 5 fitness myths that I just debunked. Let's just go over them again. So first of all, The first myth is that you need cardio in order to lose fat. You don't need cardio to lose fat. The only thing you need to do in order to lose fat is be in a calorie deficit. Second of all, it's the fact that you need to take protein straight after your workout, or that your body can only consume 30 grams of protein per meal. That's absolutely BS, because as I said, your protein synthesis is elevated from 48 to 72 hours post workout. So it doesn't really matter like what time you're taking your protein. All that matters is you taking your protein. And yeah, even if you're taking 100 grams of protein per meal, your body will still utilize all of that protein. It will just take longer to digest. And the third myth is that you can spot reduce body fat, which is not true. The only way, as I said, you can reduce body fat is by being in a calorie deficit. And if you want to reduce fat from a specific spot, you just have to be in a calorie deficit for long enough in order to see less fat in that specific spot. The fourth myth is that working out every single day is going to get you results, which is far from the truth, because as I said, you need rest, you need recovery in order to see results. Like your body only gains muscle when you're resting, not when you're actually training. So yeah, rest, train hard, and then rest as well in order to see proper muscle growth. And the last myth, number 5, is that lifting weights are going to make you too big. So lifting weights, as I said, it's not going to make you like look like the Hulk unless you're on steroids or something, because as I said, we have this thing in our body called myostatin, which actually stops us from gaining a lot of muscle. So yeah, those were the 5 myths that you guys needed to know. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys found a lot of value, and until next time, peace out.